Have you ever wondered why people behave the way they do or what truly drives our actions? Welcome to the captivating world of the 18 Laws of Human Nature, inspired by the insights of renowned author Robert Greene. Here, we explore the mysteries that shape our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Greene's work dives deep beneath the surface, revealing the hidden patterns that govern our daily lives and unlocking the secrets of human behavior. Law 1. Irrationality. Irrationality is a fascinating characteristic of human nature, deeply rooted in our evolutionary history. Our ancestors developed quick emotional responses as a means of survival, reacting instinctively to threats and opportunities in the environment. However, in the modern context, these emotional responses can often lead us away from rational decisions, guiding us down paths that aren't necessarily the best for us. Emotions have an incredible ability to dominate our decision-making process. They are like underwater currents, influencing our thoughts and actions in ways we don't always realize. Think of the moment you felt intense fear before an important presentation or the excitement when receiving good news. These emotions can quickly take over, shaping our reactions in unexpected ways. They can lead us to avoid risks or act impulsively without a clear analysis of the consequences. This emotional dominance is something we all experience, and it is deeply intertwined with the biases we carry. These biases are thought patterns that manifest when our emotions influence how we perceive the world. For example, confirmation bias makes us seek information that supports what we already believe while ignoring or devaluing anything that challenges those beliefs. This can create a comfortable but illusory bubble where we feel secure with our convictions, even if they don't fully reflect reality. Another intriguing aspect is the negativity bias, which makes us focus more on the negative aspects of experiences than on the positive ones. It's curious how a criticism can resonate in our minds much longer than a compliment. This tendency can make us overly cautious or pessimistic, causing us to avoid opportunities for fear of failure or loss. The loss aversion bias is another related bias, making us prefer to avoid losing something we already have rather than chasing something new, even if the potential gain outweighs the risk. These biases are like colored lenses through which we see the world. They distort our perception, often without us being aware of it. It's fascinating to think how our brain, such a complex and sophisticated machine, can be so easily influenced by emotions. The limbic system, responsible for our emotional responses, can react so quickly that we don't even give our prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for logical and rational thinking, a chance to intervene. In stressful situations, this emotional response can intensify. Imagine yourself in a dangerous situation. Fear can take over before you have a chance to think rationally about what's happening. This quick and instinctive response was essential for our ancestors' survival, but today, it can lead to disproportionate or even irrational reactions. It's not just in dangerous situations that this happens, even positive emotions, like excitement, can make us underestimate risks and make hasty decisions. Irrationality is, therefore, an inherent aspect of who we are. It's a mix of biology, life experiences, and the complex emotions we feel. This phenomenon reminds us of how vulnerable we are and, at the same time, how extraordinary our mind is. It's intriguing to reflect on how these invisible forces shape our choices and behaviors. They invite us on a journey of self-discovery, to better understand our impulses, and to explore the intricacies of our emotional mind. The beauty and mystery of irrationality lie in the fact that, although we often wish to be completely rational, it is this mix of emotion and reason that makes us unique and human. By recognizing this characteristic, we can begin to appreciate the complexity of our nature, accepting our limitations and, at the same time, challenging ourselves to understand and perhaps, to some extent, control these forces that influence us. It's a continuous dance between emotion and logic, one that never ends but continues to fascinate and shape our lives. Law 2. Narcissism. Narcissism is a personality trait that can manifest in various ways, from slight and beneficial traits to more severe and dysfunctional behaviors. This spectrum of narcissism encompasses a range of behaviors and attitudes that reflect how a person sees themselves in relation to others and the world around them. At the healthier end of the spectrum, we find what can be considered functional or adaptive narcissism. Individuals with this type of narcissism have robust self-esteem, balanced self-confidence, and the ability to value themselves without disregarding the needs and feelings of others. They are capable of setting goals and pursuing personal achievements without needing constant validation of their superiority or importance. This type of narcissism is often necessary for the development of a strong identity and resilience in the face of challenges. It allows people to believe in their abilities and persist in their ambitions while maintaining a sense of respect and consideration for others. As we move along the spectrum, we find more pronounced forms of narcissism, where self-esteem begins to detach from reality and becomes more dependent on external validation. People start to exhibit an exaggerated concern with their image and how others perceive them. This type of narcissism can be seen in behaviors of incessant praise-seeking, the need for recognition, and difficulty dealing with criticism. Although they may still maintain functional relationships and recognize others' emotions, these people often prioritize their own needs over those of others. At the more problematic end of the spectrum, narcissism can evolve into pathological narcissism. Here, self-esteem is inflated to extreme levels, often masking deep insecurity. Individuals with pathological narcissism frequently exhibit a lack of empathy, a compulsive need for admiration, and a tendency to exploit and manipulate others for their own ends. This type of narcissism is often associated with narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, a condition where narcissistic behavior becomes so dominant that it significantly affects the individual's life and relationships. People with NPD may have a grandiose view of themselves, a lack of recognition of others' needs, and extreme sensitivity to criticism, reacting with anger or disdain when they feel their status or value is being threatened. The issue of empathy development is crucial when discussing narcissism. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, a trait often lacking in individuals with more extreme narcissism. The lack of empathy can lead to dysfunctional social interactions and impair the ability to form genuine connections. However, empathy is not a fixed quality, it can be cultivated and developed. Practices like active listening, self-reflection on the impact of our actions on others, and conscious efforts to understand others' perspectives can increase empathy. By developing empathy, even those with narcissistic tendencies can start to improve their interpersonal relationships and develop a more balanced understanding of themselves in relation to others. Different types of narcissists can be identified and understood based on their behaviors and attitudes. The grandiose narcissist is one who exhibits an exaggerated sense of self-importance, a constant search for attention, and a lack of sensitivity to others' needs. This type of narcissist is often charming and persuasive, but their relationships are often superficial and utilitarian. On the other hand, the vulnerable narcissist presents an outward image of insecurity and sensitivity but still maintains an inflated view of themselves. This type tends to feel misunderstood or undervalued and may overreact to any criticism or disapproval, often exhibiting passive-aggressive behaviors or withdrawing into self-pity. Identifying and dealing with narcissists in our lives can be challenging. Understanding the underlying motivations for these behaviors can help manage our expectations and interactions with them. To protect one's mental health, it's important to set clear and realistic boundaries, being firm but respectful in our interactions. However, it is vital to remember that we all can exhibit narcissistic traits to some degree. The goal is not to eliminate narcissism completely but to recognize and moderate its manifestations so that we can live more balanced and empathetic lives, both toward ourselves and others. This self-understanding and acceptance are fundamental steps in building healthier and more fulfilling relationships. If you're enjoying this content, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Your subscription helps us keep creating content with love and dedication. Law 3. Role-playing. Human nature is marked by the complexity of social relations, and one of the most fascinating ways to navigate these interactions is through role-playing, or the use of social masks. We all, to a greater or lesser extent, use these masks as a way to adapt our behavior to the expectations of others and the circumstances we find ourselves in. They are not necessarily signs of dishonesty or manipulation, in fact, they are an integral part of social coexistence. The masks we wear can vary from a facade of professionalism in the workplace to an expression of empathy in a moment of support for a friend. Understanding these masks is essential to deciphering the true essence of who we are and who the people around us are. Social masks function as a means of protecting our most intimate feelings and sometimes our vulnerabilities. They help us avoid conflicts, maintain harmony, and, in some cases, achieve specific goals. For example, a person may adopt a more assertive and confident posture during a job interview to appear more qualified and secure in their abilities. In another situation, they may show a mask of conformity or acceptance to avoid tensions at a social gathering. However, it is important to note that these masks, although useful, can create a distance between our true identity and the image we present to others. In addition to the masks we consciously wear, there are micro-expressions and body language that often reveal our true feelings, even when we try to hide them. Micro-expressions are involuntary facial expressions that last only a fraction of a second and can indicate emotions such as joy, sadness, anger, or fear. They are difficult to control and, therefore, are often more accurate in revealing a person's emotional state than voluntary facial expressions. Detecting these micro-expressions requires attention and practice, but it can be a powerful tool for understanding someone's underlying feelings, especially when their words or behaviors seem inconsistent. Body language, in turn, encompasses a wide range of nonverbal signals, including posture, gestures, eye contact, and even how a person occupies space. For example, crossed arms can indicate a defensive attitude, while open hands and exposed palms can suggest honesty and openness. Eye contact can convey a range of feelings, from interest to hostility, depending on the context and duration. Careful observation of these signals can provide important clues about what someone really thinks or feels, regardless of what they are verbally saying. Understanding and correctly interpreting these nonverbal manifestations is a valuable skill, especially in contexts where direct communication may be limited or filtered by social or professional norms. However, it is crucial to consider context and cultural differences, as the same gestures can have different meanings in different cultures. Impression management is another crucial facet of social role-playing. It refers to the strategies we employ to control or influence how others perceive us. We all want to be seen in a particular way, whether as competent, friendly, trustworthy, or powerful. To achieve this, we may adjust our appearance, words, and actions according to the image we want to project. This can include anything from choosing specific clothes to convey a certain impression to shaping our responses in conversations to align with others' expectations. However, impression management is a double-edged sword. While it can be used to create a positive image and strengthen our social interactions, it can also lead to a sense of dishonesty or superficiality if the discrepancies between the mask and the true personality are too great. Moreover, the constant effort to maintain a specific image can be emotionally draining, leading to anxiety or burnout. Therefore, finding a balance between authenticity and social adaptation is essential for psychological well-being and building genuine relationships. In short, role-playing and the use of social masks are inevitable and intrinsic aspects of human life. They allow us to navigate the complexities of social interactions and achieve our goals. However, at the same time, careful reading of microexpressions and body language offers a deeper insight into people's true emotions and intentions, helping us better understand human nature. Impression management, in turn, is a skill that can be used to both protect and deceive, requiring careful and ethical handling. By reflecting on the use of masks and the interpretation of nonverbal signals, we are invited to explore more deeply not only the identity of others but also our own, in a constant search for authenticity and understanding. Law 4. Compulsive behavior. Compulsive behavior is a fascinating and often enigmatic part of human nature. From childhood, we begin to shape who we are, with each experience leaving a mark on our development. It's as if, over the years, we build a mask of attitudes and behaviors that can sometimes become difficult to control. This mask is influenced not only by our genetic predispositions but also by the environment in which we grow up and the experiences we have. From an early age, we are impacted by how our parents or caregivers treat us, the responses we receive when expressing our emotions, and the values we are taught. These early interactions are crucial as they help shape our worldview and form the foundation of our character. In a healthy environment, where emotions are recognized and emotional needs are met, we develop a sense of security and confidence. But in adverse situations, where emotional support is scarce or responses are inconsistent, we may begin to form compulsive behaviors as a way of coping with stress or insecurity. These behaviors are like small refuges that offer us a sense of control or comfort, even if temporary. As we grow, life challenges us in various ways, and how we handle these adversities is a true test of character. It is in difficulties that we show what we are made of. Adversities are like a mirror, reflecting our resilience or, in some cases, our fragility. Some people become stronger and more determined, turning challenges into growth opportunities. Others may find themselves cornered, resorting to compulsive behavior patterns as a means of escaping pressure. It's interesting to observe how different people react to similar situations in such distinct ways. While some emerge wiser and more prepared, others get lost in cycles of self-sabotage. Strength of character is not revealed only in times of calm but especially in times of storm. It's easy to maintain composure when everything is going well, but the true measure of a person is seen in how they face difficulties. Those with a solid character can navigate turbulent waters with an inner calm, taking advantage of each wave to strengthen themselves. On the other hand, those who struggle with their own compulsivity may find themselves trapped in a sea of repetitive and self-destructive behaviors, unable to break free from this spiral. Beyond internal challenges, it is also crucial to deal with external influences, especially those from toxic personalities. These people can enter our lives with a facade of charm and charisma, only to reveal, over time, behaviors that drain our energy and corrode our well-being. Identifying these personalities is a vital skill, almost a sixth sense we develop to protect ourselves. They can be manipulative, critical, or simply negative, bringing with them a cloud of toxicity that can profoundly affect our emotional state. The presence of toxic personalities in our circle can intensify our compulsive behaviors, especially if these people feed our insecurities or create an environment of constant tension. Learning to recognize these signs is the first step to protecting yourself and eventually distancing yourself from these negative influences. It is not an easy task, especially when these people are closely connected to us, whether through family ties or long-standing friendships. However, preserving our emotional balance and mental health is paramount. Life is, therefore, a delicate balance between our internal struggle against compulsive behaviors and navigating the seas of human interactions, where we find both support and adversity. Understanding the impact of our childhood experiences, learning to face adversities with strong character, and avoiding the negativity of toxic personalities are essential steps to living a more authentic and fulfilling life. This journey is continuous and challenging but also a unique opportunity for self-discovery and growth. Law 5. Covetousness. Covetousness is a deep and inherent impulse in the human condition, manifesting through the incessant desire for what we do not possess. This desire is often fueled by fantasy, a powerful mechanism that creates an idealized image of what we could have or be. Imagination, in this context, is a two-faced force. It can inspire and motivate, but it can also become a source of constant dissatisfaction. Desire and fantasy go hand in hand. When we desire something, we are not just interested in the object itself but in what it represents or promises. It could be elevated social status, a sense of power, or even a way to achieve happiness. Fantasy allows us to explore these possibilities in our minds, exaggerating the qualities and benefits of the object of our desire. This idealization can sometimes lead us to neglect the negative aspects or challenges that come with achieving what we crave. Ultimately, we are always in search of something new, something more, driven by the belief that it will fill some internal void or bring a sense of completeness. Maintaining mystery is a crucial element in sustaining desire. Human nature is inherently curious. We like to uncover secrets and discover what is hidden. When something is completely revealed and understood, it tends to lose some of its allure. This is especially true in interpersonal relationships and the pursuit of material gains. Mystery creates a space for the imagination to work, allowing people to project their desires and expectations onto the object of interest. In relationships, for example, mystery can be maintained through not being entirely transparent or creating an aura of unpredictability. This practice keeps the other person engaged, always seeking to discover more, maintain attention, and sustain interest. Moreover, mystery can be a powerful tool in creating rivalry and desire. When we perceive that something is desired by many, we tend to value it more. This occurs because the desire of others acts as implicit validation of the value of what is desired. In markets and marketing strategies, this is often used to create a sense of exclusivity or scarcity, making people want the product even more. In human relationships, the perception that someone is coveted by others can significantly increase their appeal. This dynamic is often exploited in social and professional contexts to increase perceived value or demand for a product. Creating rivals in desire is a strategy that plays on this competitive nature of humans. When people feel they are competing for something or someone, their desire tends to increase, and they become more willing to make sacrifices or take risks to attain the object of their desire. This is evident in many aspects of life, from financial markets to the dynamics of attraction and personal relationships. The competition can be subtle, like a slight hint of interest from third parties, or more explicit, like auctions or competitions where the winner takes all. However, this manipulation of desire through mystery and the creation of rivalry must be handled carefully. It can be a double-edged sword that can increase interest but also provoke resentment or frustration if the object of desire seems unattainable. There is a fine line between stimulating desire and creating a sense of ongoing frustration that can drive people away. Therefore, balance is crucial to keep desire a positive force, motivating people to seek and appreciate what they long for without falling into the trap of endless and unsatisfying pursuit. Covetousness, in its essence, is a force that moves humanity. It is what drives us to dream, seek the new, and improve our lives. However, it is also a force that must be understood and managed. Desire, when unchecked, can lead to chronic dissatisfaction and discontent. On the other hand, when balanced with an appreciation for the present and an understanding of the limits of what desire can offer, it can be a powerful tool for personal growth and fulfillment. Thus, covetousness is not something to be feared or repressed, but rather understood and used wisely. Law 6. Short-sightedness. Short-sightedness is a condition not just of the eyes but also of the mind when we let ourselves be led by immediacy and lose sight of the bigger picture. In life, this mental short-sightedness manifests as a difficulty in seeing beyond immediate rewards, ignoring long-term consequences. Having a long-term perspective is essential for wisely navigating the choices we make, especially in a world that constantly bombards us with temptations of instant gratification. A long-term perspective is like a lighthouse guiding our steps, even when the path is shrouded in fog. It helps us look beyond the here and now, considering the impact of our actions on the future. This vision is crucial to avoid falling into the traps of the moment, such as hasty decisions that, while offering pleasure or immediate relief, ultimately lead us away from our larger goals. People with this perspective tend to be more resilient, able to resist the pressures of the moment in favor of greater and more lasting benefits. Unfortunately, we are often drawn to impulsive decisions, driven by intense and momentary emotions. The temptation to act on impulse is a powerful force. Who hasn't felt tempted to buy something unnecessary just because it was on sale or react exaggeratedly to a negative comment? These reactions are natural but can have consequences that go far beyond the moment. The challenge lies in cultivating patience and self-control to resist these impulses. A useful technique is to give yourself time to reflect before making important decisions. Whether it's waiting a few minutes or even a whole day, this pause can make the difference between an impulsive choice and a considered action. Moreover, it's important to be aware of how the perspectives of others can influence our decisions. Often, the short-sightedness is not just ours, it is a collective perspective. The expectations of friends, family, and even society can pressure us to prioritize the immediate, whether in pursuit of status, approval, or simply to avoid conflict. These influences can be subtle but powerful, shaping our choices in ways we don't always perceive. It's easy to be carried away by this current, adjusting our plans and dreams to align with what is socially acceptable or desired. Imagine the pressure to get that prestigious job or buy the latest car just because it seems to be the right path according to society's standards of success. However, these decisions can lead us away from our true desires and values, trapping us in an endless pursuit of external validation. Recognizing and questioning these influences is crucial to maintaining a clear vision of our own goals and priorities. The true art of avoiding short-sightedness lies in balancing the present with the future, finding a middle ground between satisfying immediate needs and building a path for the long term. This doesn't mean ignoring the pleasures and urgencies of the moment but rather integrating them in a way that doesn't compromise broader goals. It's a constant dance between the now and the later, where every step is carefully considered. This journey requires continuous self-reflection and the courage to follow a path that may not always be applauded by others. It's about building a future that truly reflects who we are and what we value, not just what is expected of us. By cultivating this long-term vision and recognizing external influences, we can make more authentic decisions aligned with our true objectives. This way, we avoid short-sightedness and build a rich and meaningful life that goes beyond immediate achievements and impulses of the moment. Law 7. Defensiveness. Defensiveness is a common and instinctive reaction that arises when we feel our self-image is being threatened. It's like a protective mechanism that automatically activates to defend the opinion we have of ourselves. Everyone carries an internal narrative, a story they tell themselves about who they are, their abilities, values, and beliefs. This self-opinion is essential for our sense of identity and self-esteem, and any threat to this perception can trigger a defensive response. Understanding the opinions people have about themselves is fundamental to navigating human interactions with sensitivity. We all want to believe we are good at something, that we are valuable, and that our actions are justified. When these beliefs are challenged, even subtly, it is natural to feel threatened and consequently defend ourselves. This defense can manifest in various ways, from quick justifications to verbal attacks or even emotional withdrawal. The key to persuading without provoking defensiveness is to avoid directly confronting someone's self-image. Instead, it is more effective to approach issues in a way that does not attack the core of the person's ego. A useful technique is to frame criticisms or suggestions for improvement as neutral observations or open-ended questions. For example, instead of saying, "You are wrong about this," which can sound like a personal attack, a softer approach would be, "Have you considered another perspective?" This formulation suggests an openness to dialogue without directly invalidating the other person's point of view. Additionally, it is important to create an environment of respect and understanding, where the person feels safe to explore new ideas without fear of judgment. Active listening plays a crucial role here. When we genuinely listen to what others have to say without interrupting or immediately trying to correct them, we show respect for their opinions and feelings. This respect, in turn, can reduce the need for defensiveness, opening up space for a more open and honest conversation. Another effective strategy is affirming people's self-image, which can help build their trust and facilitate communication. This doesn't mean being condescending or insincere, but rather genuinely recognizing the strengths and qualities that the person values in themselves. For example, if someone prides themselves on being a good listener, acknowledging this skill during the conversation can strengthen the bond and trust. By validating positive aspects of someone's identity, we create common ground that makes it easier to discuss sensitive issues or suggest changes without triggering defensive reactions. This process of affirmation is not about manipulation but about building a bridge of trust and mutual respect. When people feel that their views are valued and respected, they are more likely to consider new information or perspectives. This openness can be the starting point for genuine persuasion, where changes in opinion or behavior occur voluntarily and positively, rather than being forced or resulting in conflict. In essence, dealing with defensiveness is about understanding and respecting the humanity and vulnerabilities of others. We all have a view of ourselves that we want to protect, and it is natural to react when we feel that view is under attack. By approaching interactions with empathy and sensitivity, we can minimize people's natural defenses and create a space for dialogue and growth. Thus, persuasion becomes less about winning an argument and more about guiding others on a journey of discovery and mutual understanding. Law 8. Self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is a curious phenomenon where, inexplicably, we end up standing in the way of our success. This self-destructive tendency is often fueled by the relationship between our attitudes and the circumstances we live in. It's as if the attitudes we adopt are mirrors that reflect, distort, or embellish our reality, directly influencing how we see and interact with the world. The way we view life can transform challenging experiences into growth opportunities or insurmountable obstacles. When our attitudes are positive and open, we are more likely to see the possibilities hidden between the lines of daily challenges. On the other hand, a negative attitude can make us focus only on the dark aspects of life, feeding a downward spiral of self-criticism and hopelessness. This negative outlook not only clouds our perspective but also shapes the circumstances around us, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. For example, if we believe we are not capable of achieving something, we may unconsciously avoid opportunities that prove otherwise, reinforcing this limiting belief. Identifying negative attitudes is like turning on a light in a dark room, revealing the corners where these shadows hide. Often, These negative thoughts are so subtle and automatic that we don't even realize they are there, undermining our confidence and determination. It could be the constant thought that we're not good enough, the paralyzing fear of failure, or the tendency to constantly compare ourselves with others and feel inferior. These thoughts may seem harmless at first glance, but they can trap us in behavior patterns that sabotage our growth. Overcoming these attitudes is internal work that requires courage and introspection. It's necessary to be willing to look honestly at oneself and recognize these self-limiting thought patterns. Once identified, the next step is to start questioning them. Are we really not capable? Is failure really that terrible? And what truly matters, comparing ourselves with others or our progress? These questions help us challenge the narratives we create and open up space for a new perspective. Cultivating a positive attitude is one of the most effective ways to combat self-sabotage. It's not about ignoring problems or pretending everything is fine, but rather adopting a more balanced and hopeful approach. It's about learning to see challenges as valuable lessons and believing in our ability to overcome them. A positive attitude allows us to explore new possibilities with curiosity and courage instead of fear and hesitation. The practice of gratitude is a powerful tool in this process. By focusing on the things we are grateful for, we shift our attention from problems to the blessings, big or small, that we already have. This change of focus not only improves our mood but also helps us see the world more clearly and optimistically. Surrounding ourselves with positive people can also have a transformative effect. These people not only inspire us with their example but also support us in difficult times, helping us maintain a healthy and motivating perspective. Ultimately, the fight against self-sabotage is a personal journey of discovery and growth. It's about learning to recognize our mental traps and actively choosing a path that moves us forward instead of keeping us stuck. With a positive attitude and an open mind, we can turn challenges into opportunities, failures into lessons, and the fear of the unknown into an exciting adventure. Thus, instead of being our worst enemies, we can become our greatest allies in the pursuit of a full and meaningful life. Law 9. Repression. Repression is a powerful force that often leads us to hide aspects of ourselves that we consider unacceptable or uncomfortable. This phenomenon is known as the dark side of personality, parts of us that we prefer to keep hidden, whether out of fear of judgment or because they don't align with the idealized image we have of ourselves. Confronting the shadow is an essential step for personal growth because only by acknowledging and accepting these dark impulses can we begin to integrate them healthily into our lives. The dark side can include a range of emotions and desires that we usually repress, such as anger, envy, greed, or even selfishness. We are often socially conditioned to avoid or hide these feelings, as they are considered inappropriate or undesirable. However, the continuous repression of these aspects can lead to an emotionally unbalanced life, where the shadow grows in intensity, manifesting in unexpected and often harmful ways. For example, someone who constantly represses their anger may end up exploding disproportionately in stressful situations. Recognizing these impulses is the first step to confronting the dark side. This requires brutal honesty with oneself and a willingness to look inward without judgment. It's about accepting that we all have thoughts and feelings that are not always pleasant or morally correct. This acceptance is crucial because it allows us to realize that the dark side is not necessarily something to be eliminated but understood and managed. Integrating the shadow is a process in which we learn to accept and incorporate these dark aspects into our daily lives in a balanced way. This does not mean acting impulsively or without consideration of the consequences, but rather finding ways to express these aspects healthily. For example, anger can be transformed into assertiveness, allowing us to defend our boundaries firmly and respectfully. The recognition of envy can motivate us to achieve personal goals instead of simply resenting others. Integrating the shadow also involves using these aspects constructively. Often, the feelings we repress can contain powerful creative or motivational energy. If channeled correctly, these impulses can be used to drive our ambitions, develop resilience, or even protect our interests assertively. For example, a person's competitive side, if recognized and accepted, can be used to stimulate self-improvement instead of being a source of conflict or resentment. Using the shadow constructively requires a level of self-awareness and self-control. It is necessary to discern when it is appropriate to express certain feelings and in what way to do so without causing harm to ourselves or others. This is an exercise in balance, allowing our dark aspects to have a voice without letting them dominate our actions or lead us to destructive behaviors. A practical approach to this integration can be through activities such as art, sports, or other forms of expression that allow the healthy channeling of emotions. Artistic creation, for example, can be a powerful outlet for expressing complex and often repressed feelings. Sports can serve as an outlet for aggression or competitiveness, allowing these feelings to be experienced in a healthy and controlled way. We all have a shadow, and the key to a balanced life is not in denying it but in understanding and integrating it consciously and constructively. By doing so, we not only gain a deeper understanding of ourselves but also learn to live more authentically and completely. Accepting our internal complexity allows for greater compassion for ourselves and others, recognizing that darkness is a natural part of the human condition and that, when well understood and integrated, it can be a source of great strength and personal growth. Law 10. Envy. Envy is a subtle and often difficult emotion to admit, but one that we all experience at some point. It deeply roots itself in our psyche, usually born from comparing ourselves with others. When we perceive that someone possesses something we desire, whether an object, a talent, or a quality, an uncomfortable feeling can emerge. If left unrecognized and unmanaged, this feeling can grow and turn into resentment, negatively affecting our self-esteem and relationships. The origin of envy is often linked to our perception of lack or inadequacy. When we compare our lives with those of others, we often encounter an idealized version of what they have or have achieved. Social media, for example, can exacerbate this feeling by constantly exposing the best parts of others' lives, leading us to question our accomplishments and the value of our own lives. This comparison can make us feel like we are always behind, as if we are never enough. Identifying the signs of envy in ourselves is challenging, as it can be a disguised emotion, manifesting as criticism or disdain for others' achievements. We may find ourselves diminishing others' accomplishments, finding flaws where there may be none, or even feeling a strange satisfaction when something goes wrong for someone we envy. These thoughts are like shadows that darken our perspective and, if left unrecognized, can poison us with bitterness. In others, envy can present itself in various ways: a false smile, a word of support that sounds empty, or a criticism disguised as advice. It can be difficult to deal with these signs, especially when they come from those close to us. Others' envy can create an atmosphere of tension where one person's success becomes a source of discomfort for another. This dynamic can destroy friendships, relationships, and even work environments where collaboration is replaced by covert competition. However, envy does not have to be viewed solely as a negative emotion. It can be a window into something deeper, what we truly desire for ourselves. By recognizing envy, we can transform it into a motivating force. Instead of resenting others' achievements, we can use them as a source of inspiration. This does not mean that we should passively admire. Instead, we can learn from these people, understand what they did to achieve their goals, and adapt those lessons to our reality. Transforming envy into admiration is an art. It requires a shift in perspective, from focusing on what we lack to focusing on what we can achieve. When we see someone who has achieved something we desire, we can ask ourselves, what can I learn from this person? What qualities or skills do they have that I can develop in myself? This attitude not only frees us from the cycle of self-criticism and resentment but also sets us on a path of growth and self-discovery. By adopting this mindset, we begin to see others' achievements not as threats but as possibilities. This encourages us to pursue our own dreams with more determination and to recognize that others' success does not diminish our potential. This approach helps us celebrate others' victories while also getting closer to our own goals. Instead of being consumed by envy, we can become active admirers, constantly seeking to learn and grow. Envy, when well understood, can be a tool for personal development. Instead of letting it control us, we can use it to reflect on our own desires and aspirations. This transformation process is liberating, allowing us to live with more authenticity and joy, celebrating both our achievements and those of others. Law 11. Reactive Behavior. Reactive behavior is an intriguing characteristic of humans that often gets us into complicated situations due to our tendency to act impulsively. Impulsivity is like a flame that ignites without warning, leading us to speak or act without thinking about the consequences. Who hasn't responded to a message impulsively or made an unnecessary purchase only to regret it later? These moments of reactivity may seem small, but when accumulated over time, they can significantly impact our lives and relationships. Impulsivity arises from a combination of emotional and psychological factors. It is our automatic response to stimuli, often triggered by strong emotions like anger, fear, or even excitement. For example, when we feel attacked, our first reaction may be to retaliate verbally without considering the impact of our words. Similarly, a tempting offer can lead us to spend money without thinking, only to realize later that it was an impulsive and perhaps unnecessary choice. These moments are a natural part of the human experience, but they can divert us from our long-term goals. Controlling these impulsive reactions is an art that requires practice and self-awareness. One of the most effective ways to tame these impulses is the technique of pausing. Simply stopping for a moment before reacting can make a huge difference. This brief pause gives us the opportunity to breathe, think, and consider the consequences of our actions. It's like having a mental pause button that allows us to step back and reflect, avoiding hasty responses that could worsen the situation. Another powerful tool is the practice of mindfulness or meditation. These practices help cultivate a greater awareness of our thoughts and feelings, allowing us to observe our reactions without being overwhelmed by them. It's like developing the ability to watch our thoughts as if they were clouds passing in the sky instead of being carried away by them. This gives us the space to choose our responses more deliberately instead of simply reacting. Self-awareness also plays a crucial role in impulse control. Understanding our emotional triggers, the situations or words that make us overreact, is essential. We may realize that we tend to react defensively when criticized or feel tempted to spend more when stressed. Identifying these patterns gives us the chance to prepare strategies for dealing with them in a healthier way. We can, for example, train ourselves to respond to criticism with curiosity instead of defensiveness, or find alternative ways to cope with stress that don't involve impulsive shopping. The practice of deliberation is a valuable skill in a world that values speed and instant reaction. Taking the time to reflect before acting allows us to consider different perspectives, assess potential outcomes, and align our actions with our values and goals. This careful reflection not only helps avoid mistakes but also allows us to act in a way that is consistent with who we truly want to be. It's like building a bridge between our impulses and our intentions, ensuring that our actions reflect our true desires and needs. Moreover, deliberating before acting is a form of respecting others and ourselves. Considering how our words or actions might impact someone is a demonstration of empathy and respect. This builds trust and strengthens relationships, creating an environment where everyone feels valued and understood. When we apply this same consideration to ourselves, we make decisions that respect our own boundaries and needs, promoting our well-being and balance. Law 12. Social animal. The law of the social animal reveals a fundamental truth about us. As human beings, we have a deep need to belong. Since ancient times, being part of a group was not just a matter of choice but of survival. Being in a community meant protection, sharing resources, and a sense of identity. Even in contemporary societies, this impulse remains a powerful force that shapes who we are and how we behave. The search for belonging manifests in all aspects of life. We want to feel that we are part of something larger, whether it's a group of friends, a work team, a family, or even an online community. This need for connection can lead us to adopt certain behaviors or norms to fit in better. That's why we often follow trends or adhere to social conventions. It's a way of showing that we are part of the group, of saying I am like you. However, group dynamics can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, being in a group can give us strength, support, and a sense of belonging. On the other hand, it can also pressure us to conform, to shape our opinions and behaviors according to what is expected. This pressure to fit into group norms can be subtle but extremely effective. It's the power of conformity. The fear of being different, of being the outsider, can lead people to suppress their opinions and follow what the majority does, even if they don't fully agree. Group behavior can amplify emotions in a way that we rarely experience alone. That's why we can feel bolder at a protest or more euphoric at a concert, surrounded by others who share the same energy. This phenomenon, known as emotional contagion, shows how our emotions can intensify when we are in a group. It can be a positive and unifying experience, but it can also lead to herd behavior, where we act without thinking, guided only by the collective emotion of the moment. Maintaining autonomy within a group is an interesting and necessary challenge. How can we feel part of something larger while still maintaining our individuality? It's a balancing act that requires self-knowledge and courage. It's about knowing who you are and what you value, even when you're surrounded by people who may have different values. It's about allowing yourself to participate, to connect, but also remembering that it's perfectly okay, and sometimes necessary, to be the different one. To preserve this autonomy, it is vital to practice self-reflection. Asking yourself, am I doing this because I truly want to or because I feel I should, can help distinguish between authentic behaviors and unconscious conformity. This awareness allows us to be in tune with others without dancing to the beat of a drum that doesn't resonate with us. There's also the importance of being willing to step away from groups that do not respect our individuality. Sometimes, the desire for belonging can lead us to tolerate situations or environments that are not healthy or that require us to sacrifice our principles. Recognizing when it's time to leave is a sign of strength and integrity, an affirmation that our personal identity is more important than the approval of any group. The beauty of the law of the social animal is that it reminds us that true strength comes from finding a balance between belonging and authenticity. We can appreciate the joy and support that come from being in a community while still honoring our individuality. By doing so, we create a rich and varied life where connection with others coexists with a strong sense of who we truly are. It is this dance between the we and the I that allows us to experience the fullness of human relationships without ever losing sight of our true essence. Law 13. Image control. Controlling one's image is an almost magical skill in modern life. It's about more than just dressing well or having good manners, it's about how you choose to be seen and understood by others. Every gesture, word, and choice we make contributes to the perception others have of us. We live in an age where image is essential, and how we present ourselves can open doors or create barriers. Managing personal image begins with understanding who you are and how you want to be perceived. It's not about creating a false facade but highlighting the best parts of yourself. Imagine someone who wants to be seen as a leader. It's not enough to just take charge, you must demonstrate reliability, be a good listener, and show empathy. These nuances build the image others see. Whether in a work meeting or a casual encounter, the way you behave, speak, and even dress sends signals about who you are. Creating a solid reputation is like building a personal brand. It's a process that takes time and requires consistency. Trust is one of the most important pillars here. People need to believe that you are who you say you are and that you will do what you say you will. This means your actions must always reflect your values and promises. For example, if you position yourself as an honest and fair person, your decisions and attitudes must always show that truth. A reputation built on a solid foundation of integrity and authenticity is resistant to criticism and gossip. However, no one is immune to criticism. And how we handle it can strengthen or damage our image. Receiving negative feedback is never easy, but it is an opportunity to grow. When someone points out a flaw, our first reaction may be defensive, but it is important to listen calmly and evaluate the criticism objectively. Sometimes, there are truths we need to hear to improve. Showing that you are open to feedback and willing to correct your course can increase others' trust in you. It demonstrates maturity and a genuine commitment to personal growth. Not all criticism is fair or constructive, and knowing how to distinguish between useful criticism and unjust attacks is crucial. When faced with unfounded or malicious criticism, it is important to remain calm and not react impulsively. Rather than engaging in disputes or trying to justify yourself at all costs, it is more effective to clarify the facts with clarity and firmness. This not only defends your position but also shows that you are not easily shaken by unjust negativity. Maintaining composure in these moments is crucial to preserving your reputation. Additionally, surrounding yourself with a reliable support network can be extremely beneficial in maintaining a positive image. Friends, colleagues, and mentors who know your values and qualities can act as advocates when needed and offer honest feedback to help you continue growing. These people are valuable not only as support but also as a kind of moral compass, helping to ensure that you remain true to yourself. In the end, controlling your own image is a dance between authenticity and perception. It's not about manipulation but about showing the world who you truly are, with all your qualities and even imperfections. It's about being true to yourself while navigating others' expectations and perceptions. And when we manage to balance these elements, the image we project becomes a powerful and authentic expression of who we really are. Law 14. Conformity. Conformity is something we all deal with, often without realizing it. It's that urge to go with the flow, to adjust to others' expectations, to feel part of a group. Social pressure is a silent but powerful force that can shape our behaviors and choices in subtle or obvious ways. From our early school days, we learn that there is a certain safety in fitting in not standing out too much. And most of the time, this can be comforting, but it can also distance us from who we really are. Social pressure can lead us to do things simply because everyone else is doing it. It could be choosing a career we are not passionate about, wearing clothes that don't represent us, or even adopting opinions that don't resonate with us. This need for belonging is natural because, as social beings, we want to be accepted and recognized. However, when conformity becomes an automatic reflex, we start losing sight of our own preferences and values. Resisting conformity is a challenge, especially when the desire to fit in is so tempting. But it is essential for living an authentic and true life. One of the ways to resist is simply asking yourself questions. Am I doing this because I really want to or because I feel I should? This simple reflection can be revealing. When we start questioning our motivations, we may discover where we are molding ourselves too much to others' expectations and where we are losing sight of what is important to us. Another way to maintain individuality is to embrace the courage to be different. This doesn't mean you need to be a rebel in every situation, but rather that you feel comfortable being who you are, even if it means going against the flow. Think about the people you admire. Many of them probably didn't take the easiest or most expected path. They made their own choices, often challenging norms, and that's what made them unique and inspiring. Interestingly, conformity doesn't always have to be negative. It can be used positively as a tool for growth and learning. When we choose to surround ourselves with people who inspire us and possess qualities we admire, we are, in a way, conforming, but in a way that elevates us. For example, joining a book club can encourage the habit of reading more. Or being part of a community that values health can motivate us to take better care of our bodies. This kind of conformity helps us grow and become better versions of ourselves. Additionally, we can use our own conformity positively, influencing others. When we live according to our values and show what is possible through our actions, we can inspire those around us to do the same. This doesn't mean trying to change others by force, but being a living example of authenticity and integrity can have a profound impact. People naturally gravitate toward those who are genuine and confident, and this authenticity can create a wave of positivity and change. In the end, finding the balance between conformity and individuality is a continuous challenge. It's a dance between belonging and being true to oneself. It's okay to adjust sometimes, especially when it is part of a conscious choice that benefits us. However, it is crucial to remember who we are and what truly matters to us. Law 15. Stirring up. The law of stirring up speaks to the ability to provoke movement and change, something essential for personal growth and progress in any area of life. Sometimes, we find ourselves in situations of stagnation, where everything seems still and nothing really advances. It is in these moments that stirring things up becomes necessary, acting as a catalyst to break inertia and initiate new dynamics. Provoking agitation is an art that involves knowing exactly where and how to stir things up to create movement. This can be done in various ways, from questioning the status quo to introducing new ideas and perspectives. In a work team, for example, it can be as simple as challenging the traditional way of doing things or encouraging debates about new approaches. Stirring up doesn't have to be a radical rupture. Sometimes, small disruptions are enough to wake people up and stimulate creativity. This technique can be especially useful in situations where complacency has set in, and innovation seems to have fallen behind. However, agitation can easily lead to crises, especially when changes are introduced abruptly or poorly planned. This is where crisis management comes in. Handling crises effectively requires a combination of calmness, clarity, and quick action. The first thing to do is to assess the situation with a clear mind, without panic. Understanding the true nature of the problem and what is at stake is crucial. From there, communication becomes a vital tool. Keeping everyone informed, being transparent about the challenges and solutions under consideration, can help maintain calm and focus among those involved. In the midst of a crisis, it is easy to lose sight of the ultimate goal, but it is precisely in these moments that leadership and vision become most important. Knowing when to calm the waters and when to stir things up again is a delicate but essential skill. It is like navigating in a turbulent sea. Sometimes, you need to adjust the sails to face the storm, and other times, keep a steady course to move forward. After going through a crisis, or simply starting a new project, it is vital to create momentum, the momentum that helps keep moving forward. Creating momentum is about taking advantage of the initial movement and building on it, turning small victories into great successes. This can be done by celebrating achievements, no matter how small, and using them as stepping stones to reach bigger goals. When people feel they're making progress, even small ones, they are more motivated to continue. To maintain this momentum, it is important to stay focused and not lose sight of the ultimate goals. Setting clear and achievable goals and celebrating each milestone helps maintain enthusiasm and motivation. Moreover, keeping clear and continuous communication about progress helps sustain the excitement and energy of everyone involved. The key is to turn the initial movement into a growing wave that propels everyone forward. At its core, the law of stirring up is about dynamism and the ability to handle change and uncertainty. It's about knowing when to shake things up to get out of a stagnant situation and how to manage the challenges that arise in the process. It's also about taking advantage of the momentum created to achieve great things. In a constantly changing world, those who know how to create and manage agitation have an undeniable advantage, turning uncertainty into opportunity and chaos into innovation. It's this dance between provocation, adaptation, and momentum that allows us not only to survive but to thrive in an ever-evolving environment. Law 16. Symbolism. The law of symbolism reveals the silent power that symbols have in communication and influence. Symbols have the unique ability to condense complex ideas and emotions into a simple image or object, communicating instantly what words often cannot express. Think of a national flag, a logo, or even an emoji. These small visual elements can carry immense emotional and cultural weight. The use of symbols is fundamental because they connect with people on a deep and intuitive level. When we see a familiar symbol, it immediately evokes a series of associations and feelings. A flag, for example, is not just a piece of colored fabric, it represents a nation's history, values, and pride. Similarly, a simple heart can communicate love, affection, and compassion without the need for words. This ability to convey emotions and ideas directly and impactfully is what makes symbols so powerful. Interpreting symbols goes beyond simply recognizing what they represent. It is necessary to understand the cultural and historical context that gives them meaning. For example, while the color red may symbolize love and passion in many Western cultures, in some Asian cultures, it represents good luck and prosperity. This contextual understanding is crucial, as the same symbol can have completely different meanings depending on who sees it. Deciphering these nuances is like learning a secret language, full of layers and hidden meanings. In addition to interpreting symbols, creating new symbols is an art. Creating an effective symbol involves capturing the essence of an idea or movement in a simple and memorable way. Think of the iconic Nike logo, the swoosh. It is simple but encapsulates dynamism, movement, and, of course, the idea of just do it. A good symbol can unite people around a common idea, inspire action, and create a sense of belonging. It becomes an emblem that people carry with pride, representing something bigger than themselves. Symbols also have the power to create and perpetuate traditions, giving shape and identity to groups and movements. An example of this is the red rose, used as a symbol by socialist movements in many countries. It not only identifies the movement but also invokes a history of struggle and solidarity. Similarly, social justice movements often adopt symbols that encapsulate their goals and values, such as the raised fist, symbolizing resistance and unity. In everyday use, symbols can be used to create an identity or convey a message quickly and effectively. Brands, in particular, use symbols to establish an emotional connection with their consumers. A well-designed logo can evoke trust, innovation, or even nostalgia, creating an immediate and powerful relationship. But symbols go beyond the commercial. They are tools we use to express our beliefs and values, whether wearing a t-shirt with a message or wearing a pin in support of a cause. Ultimately, symbols are a fundamental part of our communication and expression. They allow us to tell stories, share emotions, and connect with each other in ways that go beyond words. By understanding and using symbols consciously, we can communicate more richly and deeply, touching people on a more intimate level. And by creating our own symbols, we have the opportunity to leave our mark on the world, encapsulating our ideas and values in forms that can resonate with others for generations. Law 17. Resistance to change. Resistance to change is an inherent characteristic of humans. We all, at some point, feel that nervousness at the thought of leaving behind what is familiar and venturing into the unknown. This fear of change is a natural response. After all, uncertainty can be uncomfortable and even frightening. We tend to cling to what we know, even if it means staying in situations that don't fully satisfy us, simply because the familiar is comfortable and safe. The fear of change often stems from the fear of the unknown and the fear of failure. Changes mean abandoning established routines and facing new challenges, which can trigger a series of insecurities. What if things don't go as planned? What if change brings more problems than solutions? These are questions we all ask ourselves, and it is this uncertainty that can make us resist leaving our comfort zone. Overcoming this resistance is crucial for personal growth and success in any endeavor. One of the first strategies for embracing change is reconfiguring how we view it. Instead of seeing change as a threat, we can start to see it as an opportunity. Every change brings the possibility of learning and growth. Adopting a growth mindset, where failures are seen as learning opportunities and not disasters, can help alleviate the fear of failure. This shift in perspective transforms the unknown into an adventure of discoveries rather than a source of fear. Another effective strategy is to break change down into smaller, more manageable steps. Major changes can seem overwhelming, but when broken down into small actions, they become much easier to tackle. For example, if you are considering a career change, you can start by exploring new areas of interest, acquiring new skills, or meeting people who already work in the desired field. Small steps allow you to gradually adapt to change, building confidence along the way. Personal transformation is a fascinating aspect of adapting to change. It is about reinventing yourself, discovering new facets of yourself, and adjusting to new circumstances. This can involve acquiring new skills, changing attitudes, or adopting new habits. The ability to adapt is one of the most valuable qualities we can cultivate because the world is constantly changing, and the ability to reinvent oneself is essential for thriving. Whether learning a new language, moving to a new city, or simply adopting a new lifestyle, these transformations allow us to grow and evolve. Part of personal transformation also involves developing resilience. Resilience is the ability to quickly recover from difficulties and keep moving forward. It is a quality that helps us face change with more confidence and less fear. Cultivating resilience involves practices like maintaining a strong support network, practicing self-care, and maintaining a positive attitude in the face of challenges. Finally, it is important to remember that change is a constant in life. Nothing stays the same forever, and accepting this reality is key to living a full and satisfying life. When we embrace change, we not only better adapt to constantly evolving circumstances but also open the door to new opportunities and experiences that can enrich our lives in ways we never imagined. Accepting and even seeking change as a natural part of the growth process can transform resistance into enthusiasm and fear into excitement. By allowing ourselves to evolve and adjust, we not only become more adaptable and resilient but also discover new parts of ourselves that may have been dormant. Change, then, ceases to be a feared enemy and becomes an ally in our journey towards self-discovery and personal fulfillment. Law 18. Self-sufficiency. The law of self-sufficiency is about the freedom to be who we are without excessively depending on anyone for it. Being self-sufficient is more than just being able to take care of ourselves, it is about having the confidence and skills to navigate the world autonomously. This independence gives us the strength to make our own decisions and the security of knowing we can face challenges with our capabilities. Personal independence is fundamental because it allows us to live according to our values and desires instead of being guided by others' expectations. When we are self-sufficient, we can make choices that reflect who we truly are without fear of disappointing or overly depending on someone. This does not mean we do not value the opinions and support of friends and family, but rather that we have a solid foundation on which we can rely. It is a sense of freedom that comes from knowing that, no matter what happens, we are equipped to handle the situation. To achieve this independence, developing skills is essential. Learning new skills is like adding tools to a toolbox, making us more prepared to handle different situations. Whether it's learning to cook, managing finances, or even fixing things at home, these practical skills give us more control over our lives. And it's not just about practical skills. Developing emotional skills, like stress management and effective communication, is also crucial. These skills help us maintain balance and stability even in difficult times. However, being self-sufficient does not mean being an island. An important part of self-sufficiency is understanding the importance of healthy dependence. This means recognizing that while we can do many things on our own, it is also valuable and necessary to seek and accept help when we need it. We all need a support network, whether it is formed by friends, family, or colleagues. It is this network that helps us overcome challenges, offers advice when we are uncertain, and celebrates our achievements with us. The concept of healthy dependence is about finding a balance. It is knowing that we can rely on others without losing our identity or independence. It is about having the wisdom to know when to ask for help and the humility to accept it. This interdependence is a natural part of life and does not diminish our self-sufficiency. On the contrary, it complements it. It allows us to be authentic, knowing that we can be strong and, at the same time, vulnerable. The journey to self-sufficiency is continuous and personal. Each new skill we acquire, each time we face a challenge alone, and each time we accept help when necessary, we are strengthening our independence. At the same time, we are building stronger and more meaningful relationships based on mutual respect and support. Self-sufficiency is about living fully and truly, being able to rely on ourselves and appreciating the connections that make life richer and more fulfilling. It is about having the confidence to move forward, knowing we are prepared for whatever comes, while also embracing the support networks that help us grow and thrive. It is a balance between being able to walk alone and knowing when to walk alongside others. These laws not only reveal the behaviors we all share but also offer insights into how we interact with the world and others. By understanding these dynamics, we can see beyond appearances and understand the invisible forces that influence our actions and decisions. They help us understand social pressures, embrace changes with courage, and find a healthy balance between independence and connection with others. With this knowledge, we can live more consciously, making decisions that truly reflect who we are and what we want. By integrating these laws into our lives, we become more authentic and aware. We gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and others, which allows us to cultivate more genuine relationships and make the most of growth opportunities. The 18 laws of human nature are an invitation to continue growing and evolving, navigating the world with greater clarity and purpose, and living a life rich in meaning and satisfaction. Thank you for sticking with us until the end. Your likes and subscription are very important to us. Help us keep the Books Project alive and continue delivering high-quality content. Wishing you peace, and see you next time.